to Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbie. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. On this platform, we discuss authentic urban news across the diaspora and what's happening also in Africa. If you are just joining us for the first time, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button on my YouTube page. Ladies and gentlemen, we encourage our listeners worldwide to engage with us by leaving a public comment about the topics in the comment section below this audio podcast. Help make our audio podcast and our video podcast go viral by sharing my YouTube page with all of your Facebook friends and any other social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Also encourage people that's in my social groups on Facebook to do the same. I especially encourage my African group, Grakai of Africa. I need you all to stand up. This is very important and critical. If you're serious about me bringing over my Christian business to the African continent, I need your help. Now, I did explain to you all that I'm mindful, that I understand that those of you that's living on the continent, you're living from hand to mouth. So I'm mindful of that. Don't worry about buying the book at all. What I need for you to do for me, again, is to leave comments in the comment section. And also share my audio podcast and my video podcast with all of your friends on all social media sites that you are on. That's going to help us move to the next level. I wish a lot of you that I network with were here in the United States, but hey, it is what it is. Disclaimer. This content is for educational and informational purpose only. It is based on public available reports and verified media sources. We fully comply with YouTube's community guidelines. We do not promote violence, hate, or misinformation in any form. This podcast is available in three forms: audio, video, and also as a written text in order for us to reach our audience. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our Black media component. I would like to encourage my listeners to please subscribe to my Medium page where you can follow us or you can read my speeches word for word. And that's a good way for you can interact with me in real time. I provide my Medium transcript in the comments section below this audio podcast. There are multiple ways how you can help support us with our film project. One of those ways is by purchasing my revised book. Another way is by buying items from my virtual store or by giving a direct donations through our crowdfunding pages, such as on our GoFundMe page, our PayPal Giving Fund page, or our Buy Me a Coffee page. We are launching Operation Move GRCAM Forward. We're asking all of our listeners worldwide to please support our film project so that way I can move my virtual Christian organization from behind a computer into um the big screen, so that way the whole Black world would know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people that's trapped in American ghettos. I'm asking every one of you to please purchase my revised ebook for $9.99. You can download it to your smartphone and help get my revised book on that bestsellers list, so that way the Black world can take our cause serious. I need all hands on deck. Now, those of you that's not interested in Black issues and African issues, my advice to you is to delete me off your friends list and go on about your business. My message is for like-minded Black Americans beyond Chicago, like-minded African immigrants throughout the United States of America. I need for you to work with me. I need your help. Once we get this film project fully funded and made, then I can do my God-given assignment. If you're unable to purchase my revised book, there's another way how you can help move Gracam forward. Again, by leaving public comments on my YouTube page and sharing it on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. I'm encouraging those of you who have purchased my revised book, if you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, specifically Black Chicago, then make arrangements with me to come on this platform, get on camera, and let's talk about it. Again, I don't have time to debate because I've been pushing my vision and plan for the past 33 years. I'm standing on business. I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life. 33 years is that's a prison sentence. Again, the goal for me is to get this film project fully funded and made. The proceeds from the film, that's going to help put me in a better position financially, so that way I can purchase property in the city of Chicago, Illinois, hire or purchase office equipment, and hire qualified Black middle class professionals and qualified African immigrants to help me build the best African American business within the United States, and that will be the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. By supporting our film project, you are elevating a Black perspective and pushing our message beyond cyberspace to get onto the big screen. On this platform, we discuss domestic and geopolitical news that mainstream media ignores or misrepresents. We do extensive research and use numerous resources to produce quality anti-establishment content. Your support enables us to continue and expand our efforts, ensuring that our mission remains unwavering. Your contributions help us navigate the challenges of operating in this unpredictable space. I created this platform to give people on my Facebook page and people in my Facebook social groups who are Black artists, African artists, such as authors, comedians, fashion designers, filmmakers, models, musicians, poets, gospel singers, spiritual leaders, as well as Black entrepreneurs and African entrepreneurs. If you're serious about doing business with me, I suggest that you will exchange emails with me, that you would send me a friend request on my Facebook page. I provide that in the comment section below this audio podcast. Also provide the link to um, my revised book in the comment section below this audio podcast. So I have everything down there. Um, so if you want to come on here on this platform, please feel free to do so. So that way you can promote your books, your business, your music, or if you have a small ministry, share a 30-minute sermon with our listeners from the global community. After the show, I offer my guest speakers an incentive by teaching them how to create their own podcasts, YouTube channels, and Wix website for their online business or online ministry. I also assist them with finding college grants and scholarships and legal services, all for free. I also created this platform because Black Chicagoans have been acting funny style with me for the past 33 years. So I decided to create this platform in order to broadcast my vision and plan beyond Black Chicago. So that's what I'm on here for. And I'm definitely reaching out to African immigrants within the United States from 10 African nations: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. All I want you to do is to purchase my revised book, either my ebook for $9.99 or my softcover book for $15 plus shipping and handling. Again, if you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, specifically Black Chicago, then you will automatically become a GERCAM member. I would like for you to make arrangements with me, if you're not camera shy, to come on here, get on camera, and let's talk about it. If you are camera shy, I'm, I'm willing to still get you on the show. And what you can do is, you just cover up your camera, and we'll put it on audio. But bottom line, I would like to have you on this podcast, so that way you can give your perspective and encourage others to get involved. Because I can't do everything. I'm just one Black man with a vision and a plan. It takes a team to make a dream work. Um, and also, I would like for you to join our film project, to be on the team. Um, and if you do that, you will go down in history with me and Sister Renee. This business is not for me. Let me say this again. This business is not about me. It's about GERCAM members and their families. It's about improving our community and meeting the needs of the African American community or Black community, as well as connecting with the African immigrant community. It's my hope that we will build this movement together. And I hope and pray in my lifetime. Again, I don't want to be doing this another 33 years, y'all. Um, this is a movement that will not put politics over our interests, a movement that refuse to let the same insiders who have done nothing for decades keep holding on to power without accountability. We're nonpartisan, we're independent, and we're not affiliated with anyone. We're M1, meaning we are melanated first. Our focus is on solving Black issues at the community level. I will never forget where I came from and who I'm fighting for. Let's make real change happen together. The grassroots community activist movement is here, and we welcome Black entrepreneurs and African entrepreneurs within the United States of America and also from around the globe. Our aim is to move the cam from behind the computer into the big screen and eventually into the African American community or the Black community and also build a bridge with the African immigrant community so that way we can work together and replicate this business to the African continent. But we got to get it popping here first in Chicago for credibility. Again, I'm putting my reputation on the line. Um, Gukai of Chicago will be a family friendly atmosphere rooted in solidarity and making a positive impact within the Black community as well as in the African immigrant community. I want to do more than just news and social commentary, but again, this is where I'm at. I lack two things. I lack the manpower and the capital. Again, that's why I wrote my story. That's why I created my virtual store. And it doesn't matter how bad I want to get my Christian business up and running. Without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God given assignments. We are failing our children, and that's what's shameful about all of this. It should not take anyone 33 years to create something that's going to be productive, something that will help our Black youth and the Black family to strengthen them. That's all I'm trying to do. And again, let's keep it a buck. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from donating to my film project. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from purchasing my revised book. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from donating to my film project. That's a personal choice. That's Willie Lynch in real time, ladies and gentlemen. My film project is my last attempt to try to do something positive for my racial group, Black Americans. Guy is about raising the bar in Black America, as well as separating ourselves from the enemy within. Those would be con artists, the Black Boule, degenerates, Democrat shields, hardened criminals, pedophiles, off code Negroes, and urban terrorists. I am called by my Creator, Lord and Savior, Jesus slash Joshua, to build the best African American business within the United States of America with the help of GRCAM members. And that would be the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. The sooner we get this film project fully funded and made and the proceeds start pouring in, then I will be able to do my God given assignment. Before I cut and run to Africa, I want to make sure that Sister Renee will be well taken care of. She's been working with me behind the scenes for the past 13 years. I will openly re- I will openly reward her by dedicating a local chapter in her name in West Memphis, Arkansas. Upcoming events. Please mark your calendar for our next monthly virtual interactive conference, which will be next Saturday, September 27th, 2025. Join us in this virtual interactive conference. Everyone on my Facebook page and everyone in my Facebook social groups. Although we don't have a physical building at this time, we are using this technology to broadcast what we are trying to do in Black Chicago and beyond. On this platform, we are genuine, sincere, transparent, authentic. This event will help expand your network, enhance your profile visibility, and make more meaningful connections with the global community. The theme, your CAM stands with Africa, where Zoom Live, time 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian time, 8 p.m. West African time, 9 p.m. South African time, 10 p.m. East African time, and 8 p.m. UK time. We are looking for five or more people um, on my Facebook page or from my Facebook social groups who will be able to be on our panel. Interested? Please send me your a message to my Facebook inbox along with your email address so that way I can email you specific instructions about being on the panel. Thank you. Before I jump into my presentation, I need to share something with you all. For me, this is the most important speech of the year because I'm discussing a controversial topic, that is the Congo. It doesn't matter how bad I want to get this film project fully funded and made. Without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God given assignment. And as a result, our children from the inner cities will continue to suffer. As a result, Lord have mercy on my racial group. Because again, God give us free will. I don't have any support from any Black churches here in the city of Chicago. Do you hear me? All the Black businesses that I've reached out to or organizations, they tell me, they give me a fake smile. They tell me to keep up the good work. Why is that? Because they all about themselves. Unfortunately, a lot of Black Americans have become Americanized. They have developed a narcissist type of attitude, and they have taken on colonizers' culture. That's what this is all about. And this is spiritual warfare as well. So this is the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. But again, we can do this. I'm encouraging my listeners to become Kirkam members. You do not have to live in the Black ghettos to be a part of this. Actually, you do not even have to live in the United States. This is why my business is online for right now, but I want us to move from behind that computer. And I want to be able to have smart boots on the ground so we can bring this business to the devil's stronghold. And again, that is the Black ghettos. We're not going over there acting funny and acting all high mighty and all that stuff. I'm just coming with raising the bar. I'm not trying to say I'm better than, those that's degenerates, those that, con artists and pedophiles and hardened criminals. I mean, those people, it is what it is. That's on them. I just don't associate with those type of people, and those type of people would not be part of my business. I'm gonna run my business the way I run my home, and that's drama free. And again, before I cut and run to Africa, we're gonna get it popping here in Chicago first, again for credibility. And once I go to Africa, like I say, I want to make sure I have my management team in place and all that good stuff. Because it's not about just going running to Africa. Africa have its issues too. And the colonizers are still there, especially in South Africa. But what I want to do is I want to bring or replicate my Christian business first in South Africa. But I want to make sure that I can sustain myself in Africa because I spoke with people from that's expats from America that lives in on the African continent. And being real, they told me that a majority of businesses on the African continent are owned by foreigners. And that's a shame. That's not cool at all. And so, they have a lot of Asians, East Indians, Arabs, um, I would say Europeans. They dominate a lot of the businesses over there. And so the business that I'm trying to bring, we're going to compete. So, Africa, if you're really serious, support me. Purchase my revised book, read my story for yourself so you'll know what you're getting yourself involved with. Again, in my business, I want us to compete against Pan Africanism. They've been out for 125 years. I don't see it being effective at all. With my business, I want to connect with the community. I want this to eventually become the heart of the community. Wherever we go, I want to create jobs for our youth. Well, here in Chicago, I want to be able to create jobs to keep our youth out of from the streets, put money in their pockets so that they can support their families without them being in the streets, getting into trouble, um, becoming a career criminal, and all that. I'm from the inner cities. I know what it's like. That's not a good environment to raise kids. When you have urban terrorists walking around, gunning down anything that moves. That's not cool at all. And the reason they're doing that is because, you know, uh, after the civil rights movement, as I explained in my revised book, um, the white supremacist financial elites decided to, um, I would say, divide Black Americans by allowing the upper class Blacks as well as the middle class Blacks to move out to the suburbs, in terms of quote unquote integration so that they can integrate into the white community. And that made the majority of Blacks that's, I would say, working class and so called underclass vulnerable. And so the white supremacist financial elites, they decided to flood the Black ghettos with drugs, guns, and alcohol. In other words, so that way Black people could kill each other. And in my revised book, I call that perfect genocide of a people because that's what they wanted to. That was the game plan. And the reason why I want to bring my business over to the inner cities so that way we can work with Black families that want more out of life. Bottom line, but we're gonna raise the bar. And I ain't gonna put on no front for anybody. I'm gonna be myself. It is what it is. You don't have to like me, but yes, you will respect me. I'm a respectful person. I respect others. You're not gonna sit up here and be talking silly to me and acting all funny style because you ain't gonna be part of my business, and that's real. Um, So, with that being said, title of this presentation: The Murder of Charlie um, Kirk and Trump administration brings peace to the Congo. Our first topic: the murder of Charlie Kirk. Today, we're going to discuss the former conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, who was murdered in Utah. Political violence is wrong. No one deserves to die for their views, no matter how disrespectful those views are. What happened in Utah Valley University was a tragedy, and my heart goes out to his family, especially his wife and children. That needs to be said first and foremost. I've seen a lot of people covering this topic, and I wanted to add my 2 cents. That's what we do here on this platform. We discuss the latest issues in America and also in Africa. I think there is one question that people are not asking, and I think we really need to focus on the why now. We're going to break up this presentation in 2 parts. First, we're going to begin with what actually happened. I believe that this was a professional hit. I believe that this was planned, and there's more to this story, in my opinion, than some are saying. We're going to get a little deeper of my analysis here, what I think is really going on. And then at the end, I'm going to tell people what to expect going forward because I think a lot of people are not looking at the bigger picture. Today, we're discussing the murder of Charlie Kirk, a right wing commentator who was killed in Utah at some university during a speech on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. He was known for spurring a lot of anti Black rhetoric. What people have to understand, and what I've talked to many commentators about, what people have to understand is that even some of the Black conservative commentators, um, uh, this is, a very, it's a tough situation to be in. I watched videos on both sides for and found the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk had said. I saw um, the divisiveness. I think we got to send a message out really quick here. First of all, I'm 100% pro free speech. People can say what they want. I don't I don't have to agree with it. I'm not one of those people that says, "Oh, I'm pro speech," but you don't want to do this and that. That is not what I'm who I am. But I will say this, you know, you can't expect a particularly Black Americans really cannot expect Black Americans to be sad. You know, their condolences. We put that out there. Um, but the reality is the majority of Black Americans are not. Charlie Clerk, over the years, has said very racist, anti Black rhetoric about the Black community. He made some statements not too long ago about Jubilee, about slavery, that was very anti Black. He said that he didn't want a Black woman pilot. That's a mild comparison to some of the other things that he said in the past. The more recent statement he made publicly was about the murder of a Ukraine woman. She was killed by a Black man, an urban terrorist, on the train. Um, and he's locked up, you know, so he's already arrested. Charlie Clerk was online basically trying to find a way to incite some type of race war among people. We need to take a step back. We need to fight back and get these people out of here. That type of rhetoric. The rhetoric about black people and black gangs, that kind of stuff. Charlie Kirk has for many years said racist comments. He made it very clear that we are not a group that he respects. I'm sure some black conservative commentators may agree with most of his arguments, but as a community, he had a lot of negative, vile, racist things to say about black Americans. I've been encouraging GERCAM members for years not to, well, have been encouraging black America, have been encouraging GERCAM members not to celebrate this. Um, this is actually it's not a win. I'm I'm going to get into that a little bit later to tell you I think what's happening here, but he has said negative things about black people for years. What people are not asking is why now? Why was Charlie Kirk targeted? Charlie Kirk has been saying vile, racist things again for years. And I believe that this was a professional hit. I see people saying that he was a father and he had a family, but these are the same things that many of us in the African American community or Black community said about um, Philando Castile, George Floyd, and Eric Garner. They were also fathers and they had a family. He continued to view George Floyd as a criminal because he had a counterfeit bill. He was still a human being. He still had a family. Charlie Kirk didn't want to hear it. So you cannot expect the African American community um, as a whole to mourn the same way as the white community. He had no sympathy for Philando Castile or George Floyd. I watched a police officer have had George Floyd's neck, had his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes. And the excuse was that I heard was, well, he was a criminal. Um, this is an internal war between the left, which is the Democrats, and the right, which is Republicans. This is an internal war between those two political parties. We were at a moment in this country where people on the left and some on the right were coming together for an anti war coalition, saying, stop, quote, stop the wars. We had people on the left and some on the right that were coming together. We don't want our money going to Israel. You had you had right politicians like Margie Taylor Greene and Thomas Macy speaking out, saying, no, we don't want our money going to Israel, unquote. So we actually had a moment in this country where the left and right were coming together on anti war and against Israel. So when I say ask yourself that question, why now? Why is it that all of a sudden Charlie Kirk is attacked? I want you to look at the bigger picture, and you can already see it's already starting. Here we are with Fox News. They are already starting pointing fingers at each other. The right is blaming the left, and the left is blaming the right. There were about 3,000 people out there, along with the sniper, who was on the rooftop of a building. A lot of people felt a certain way about it. A lot of people have been talking about it. The white supremacists are, at- are attacking anyone who has something critical to say about it. His social media timeline goes on and on about how violent black Americans are. In the middle of his speech, how black gang violence, um, he was talking about black gangs and the violence that I guess occur in I guess the inner cities, and then he was shot in the neck by a white man from the white community. So black Americans didn't have anything to do with that, and yet a lot of HBCUs are being threatened, and that's not cool at all. But it is what it is. Um, People are jumping in our timelines, telling us that we have to have empathy. We got to take the high moral road. Charlie Kirk's whole career resolved around and centered around degrading black people. That was his career. Charlie Kirk has made a career out of it. And even his organization, Turning Points USA, that's a racist organization. Charlie Kirk, for years, has sat up here and justified the murder and subjugation of black people nonstop, going way back to when Trayvon Martin was murdered. He said every black person with a decent job is a DEI hiree. He repeated the lies about George Floyd died from using fentanyl, not the fact that a road cop had his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes, justifying Breonna Taylor getting executed, talking about she was a criminal and blaming her for getting herself um, murdered by road cops. He said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake and that we don't deserve rights, meaning black people. He's always talking about the African American community problem, not racism, but rather fatherlessness, just degrading us all the time. These things have real world consequences because he's clicked in with the political machine. His anti-black sentiments shows up in policies. This man is clicked in with the Trump administration, spurring nonsense. This man is also said Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was an awful person. He said if he's on a plane and sees a black pilot, he hopes that person is qualified. Charlie Kirk repeatedly denied the humanity of black victims. He defended the system that allowed us to be killed without due process. It's hypocritical for anybody to sit up here and tell us, after his anti black narrative, to ask us to show some type of sympathy. Charlie Kirk spent years promoting racial hostility, even on CNN. The white supremacists don't extend any empathy toward black death. Notice there was no national call for empathy when Eric Garner and Philando Castile was murdered. His platform was built on anti-black messaging. He always pushed the narrative that systematic racism doesn't exist and that Police brutality was exaggerated. Let me tell you something. Your death doesn't sanitize your legacy. I know we have a thing where people don't like speaking ill on the dead, but somebody who marginalized people as a career, we can give an honest assessment of a public figure. We're just giving an honest assessment. We're not degrading him. We're repeating his words. White America can't demand morality from the people you oppress. These are the same people who will turn a blind eye to injustice against us and then expect for us to take the high road or continue to vote for them without giving us economic tangibles. That's emotional manipulation, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to weaponize morality against us while you are sitting up here propping up yet another person to take his place. See, using that high road talk, that's a tool of control. White America is demanding that we take the standard, while the white supremacists dish out as much vile as they want without any consequences. Those days are over. Cam is on the scene. His death is being um, politicized it as if he was a saint. Charles Charlie Kirk politicized even major black deaths. He saw it as an opportunity to promote law and order. He tried to ignore the systematic racism that continues to oppress us. When he goes to these college campuses, the conversation always leads back to how Black Americans are the problem. Not all Black Americans are criminals. His last words were degrading Black Americans. White Americans helped fund Charlie Kirk. They donated to his networks and to this to his think tanks. His death threatened those investors and the machinery that quietly backs his agenda. He was controlled. He wasn't like Richard Spencer. They gave him talking points to use, how to get everything codified. He would say some outrageous things while the white moderates pretended to distance themselves, but secretly they agreed with him. So without him, that risk exposed their ideology. This creates a lot of anxiety and grief over the loss of their voice. There are also a fear of spiritual retribution. We are going to talk about the spiritual element of this as well. I believe people should have free speech. Nobody co signing any political violence on this platform. This wasn't no sitting in the basement type of dude, just sitting on 4chan or 8chan. He had some military training. The shooter hit him from 200 yards away in his neck. There were 3,000 people out there. You hit somebody with 3,000 people out there and you got away. So they must have known where the blind spots were with with all those cameras. This must have been done um, like I say, this must have been done like by a professional. And yet he got on the rooftop. So, you know, there was some tactics awareness of visibility, line of sight. I mean, the way he got up there and the shooter knew exactly where Kirk would be. That dude got lined up with a straight shot. When you look at some of the maps of it, was straight, clean shot on that roof. They knew the escape routes as well. They knew the stairwells and letters, and the timing with no civilian casualties. perfect precision, timing only to shoot Kirk and nobody else. Again, um, nobody else got hurt. So that shows you that they must have really been planning this for a long time. You know, that's consistent with some kind of military or paramilitary operation. The shooter had a certain level of confidence where they knew how to coordinate everything correctly. We're going to see a lot of liberals and conservatives, extremists on both sides going back and forth because no matter how much some of them despise Charlie Kirk, he meant something to somebody over there. This ain't our fight. All we care about at this point in time is our reparations and our anti black hate crime bill. And these folks are online talking about black people and how we should react to it. And also, there's a lot of ancestral guilt. Subconsciously, they sense that the violence within their community is a spiritual consequence of their group's historical injustice, particularly against Black Americans. So rather than confront that ancestral karma, they want to project blame on Black Americans and use us as a scapegoat so they can avoid dealing with their own legacy. Blackness has always been the universal political scapegoat. See, we've always been the default, even if we had nothing to do with anything. You know, imagine the image is po- political size, and weaponized. You see, there's a historic pattern dating back to the Reconstruction era and Jim Crow. Blaming Black Americans was a tool to preserve white unity during a crisis. People from the dominant society were known for dragging us into their mess, just like the issue with the Israel and Palestine. They try to drag us into it because we have been the scapegoats. That's why certain black leaders from South Africa who spoke out against Israel, all of a sudden the media began focusing on demonizing those black leaders in public. They waited for us to take a side and then start demonizing. And this is how they all get on code with one another by using us as scapegoats. They are turning the death of a controversial person like Charlie Kirk into a rallying cry, not against the white shooter. They ain't really tripping on him. Their focus is on Black society. They need that artificial unity. And then they try to use the idea of Black hostility to sidestep internal beef among themselves and reflect all of their resentment towards us. Charlie Kirk pushed his anti Black narratives for years. So instead of them admitting that Charlie Kirk's rhetoric fueled violence or division, his supporters want to lash out at Black Americans. Trump is talking about having some of the flags have masks. I am not about to honor anyone who sat up here saying offensive things about my racial group. Black Americans have been empathetic to everyone for generations. We need to stand our ground and understand what's really going on here in America. The United States of America is starting to fall, just like the Roman Empire. There's another component of this thing, the spiritual aspect of it all. Christians can quote the scriptures, Second Chronicles, verse verse 7, chapter 7, verse 14. about healing the land. But the judgment is about to happen in America because of all of the innocent blood shed in this stolen land by the white supremacist financial elites. The white supremacist financial elites operates in the physical realm with laws, weapons, bullets, and propaganda. Black faith operates in the spiritual realm. It's timeless and boundless. This is what we are seeing. Old plantations set on fire. We see floods wiping away old plantations. When that spirit debt accumulates through centuries of anti Black hatred, and energy has to balance itself. The spirit of the enslaved, the people whose bodies were beaten and burned, hung, their bodies are crying out for justice. That energy can even tap into some white people like John Brown. For those of you who don't know him, I wrote about him in my revised book. So please read my book so you can learn a little more about him. But I just share this much. John Brown was a white man who led an insurrection. It failed, but he tried to lead an insurrection during slavery against slave owners. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes that energy might find a John Brown entity to carry out some ancestral retribution. See, spiritual retribution doesn't care about where it's going to get um, justice or, the host. It's about moral frequency and the blood of the enslaved people that transform into an energetic force. So that energetic field, it just doesn't inspire Black people to rise, but it causes white systems to collapse from within. It starts to compel betrayal and infighting and even destruction among the oppressor class. So a lot of white on white karma is triggered by ancestral spirits in the form of natural disasters such as floods, earthquakes, wildfires, hurricanes, and droughts that result in loss of life, property damage, and economic disruption. These events can have widespread and severe consequences for communities and societies, including displacement and severe economic hardship. White America believes that we are always going to be here and continue to be victimized. You don't realize that ever since 2019, that your global system and influence has been spiraling out of control. The world has not been the same. Your comfort level has not been the same. Your comfort is coming to an end. See the 400-year timeline, which is meant in the Holy Bible, Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 through 14. Um, please read the King James Version to know what I'm talking about. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, and Ezekiel chapter 34, verses 11 through 16. This is the official timeline. 1619 to 2019 made 400 years. Now, there's only one group of people that was taken to another land against their wills, being abused and oppressed and made to serve another racial group and culture. That was my ancestors, descendants of American slaves slash freedmen. After 400 years, the judgment of America has begun. The American empire will fall, mark my words. The world will never be the same again. I've been preaching this in Chicago for the past, I'm going to say 25 years, and now my words are starting to come to pass. You can claim you're a Christian nation, but your mistreatment and um, my people and refusing to give us our reparations, well, it's going to cost you. I don't want to hear any talk about you being a Christian nation. You don't want to make things right with Black Americans. That's fine. That's why we're trying to build a kind of Chicago and our mind, our own Black business. We're not getting involved with your mess. We are doing our own thing. We're not out here in the streets protesting anything. What happened to Charlie Kirk, that's that's y'all issue. You guys got to handle that on your own. We had nothing to do with that. Leave us alone. Look at what's happening in France. Ever since Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger kicked out France from those African nations, other African nations followed, and now France is on the brinks of economic collapse. Why? Because African youths are waking up to the game. Western nations have been doing for centuries on our continent. Black Africans are reclaiming their continent, and as a result, the former colonizers are feeling a certain way. You're acting racist towards African immigrants in your country, and yet have to depend on African resources in order to live a first world lifestyle. Seven European nations owe African reparations. Europe also owes the Caribbean and Brazil, and throughout Latin America, they owe reparations as well. It's a global reckoning. That's what's happening. You can sanction all you want to. None of that is going to work. Your racism has turned the whole world against you. You claim that you have the greatest country in the world, but yet you cannot keep your own citizens safe. That's not a great country. That's third world. America will descend into a third world status, and that's your fault because you're the ones that's in control and obsessed with guns. That's why your society is so violent. You're not number one in public education. If the United States of America was truly the greatest country in the world, then we would be number one in education, in healthcare, in having the most marriages, the highest middle class, the lowest crime rates, and the best economy on earth. You're number one only in military and military weaponry. It's on us as Black people and parents to straighten out those HBCUs, and make sure that they're doing the right by our children. See, karmic storms, they fuel by spiritual injustice. A lot of white on white violence might be happening due to the system of white supremacy. So a lot of anti-black hatred that Charlie Kirk and others like him promote in public spaces, it didn't vanish. Notice all of the school shooters come from the white community, just like the transgender people who shot up a few weeks ago, and not just him. Look at most of these mass shootings and the dominant white society. It's always somebody with white supremacist views. They got some manifestos spurring some white supremacist nonsense, and then something happens, and the ancestral energy turns on them, and then they employ on themselves. But I want y'all to understand the spiritual aspects. You're sitting up here talking about how violent Black people are, and you got to stay away from Black people. You make a platform talking about how Black people ain't this and that. If you hire a black person, that's a DEI hire. Um, and so those are those are not good things to be saying about people. This is ironic and is symbolically devastating. That's why a lot of these white supremacists out here feel a certain way about it. I think it's very interesting that white America is asking black Americans to have some type of outrage, but white Americans did not have any type of outrage for people in Jackson, Mississippi not having clean running water. When white America pay me my reparations on the put that on the books, an anti-black hate crime bill, then I can work with my fellow Americans. Until then, I am minding my own black business. No one shouldn't be taking talking negatively about black Americans and then expect for us to have sympathy or empathy. As long as you're on the right and they can make you hate people on the left, we will never really get anywhere in this country when it comes to fighting against the establishment, the white supremacist financial elites, which is the billionaire class. And that's what a lot of this come down to. Um, they have found a way to turn these groups against each other once again. You cannot expect the African American community to have empathy for people like Charlie Kirk because for the past statements he made about the African American community. Does that mean that someone should be killed because of what they say? No. And for people who say that they're pro free speech, you need to think about that for a second. Saying something and doing something are two different things. I believe that people have the right to say what they want. I do believe they should, I do believe they should not be killed because of what they say. That's why I'm asking the question again, why now? So you see the divisiveness here. They are saying on Fox News they're, they're coming after us. Then it goes on to Donald Trump. He comes in and says the same thing. For years, those on the left have compared America to Nazis and world's most mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the domestic terrorism across the country that we're seeing. This is going to cause an increase in the police state. This is going to cause a crackdown on protesters or any other types. And I'll go as far as say that the anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian type of movements. What do you think is going to happen from here? When President Trump says he's going after radical left organizations, think about all the organizations that participated in these protests. What do you guys think is coming? Now, Donald Trump is focusing on sending the National Guards um, to Memphis, New York City, Baltimore, and all other Democrat run cities. This is all political, and this is exactly what the establishment wants. They want us to be divided politically and racially. No one should be applauding the loss of anyone's life. People should be able to say what they want, but there are consequences that come with that. But people should not be killed for it because of what they say. And I want you to think about what this means for political commentators as well. What happened to Charlie Kirk can happen to any of us. We had Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., JF, JFK, and many more killed in this country. Look at all of the mass shootings happening across the United States, um, from Catholic schools. Like I said a couple weeks ago, this is white on white violence. There is a link between psychedelic drugs and these mass shootings. And I'll talk about that maybe on another podcast in the future. The FBI caught the suspect by the name of Tyler Robertson. He is a 22-year-old white male from Utah. This has disappointed many people on the far right who wanted the suspect to be an immigrant. They wanted him to be Antifa. His family is Republican and they're Trump supporters. The white supremacists are having a hissy fit. They don't know what to do. These people, their desire is to blame others, to deflect from their own issues. There's a lot of theories about this Tyler guy. What was his motive? They've been digging in his social media, pulling up pictures of him holding lots of guns. They found some 4chan groups that he was a part of. Some people are saying that this guy was possibly funded by George Soros, and they paid him to take out Kirk in order to spark a civil unrest, and they pointed to one of the shell casings with Antifa great engraved on it. Then some people are blaming it on the gaming community. They're saying he had an obsession with shooter games like Diver, and they say he turned into some kind of go- grouper incel, and he was targeting Kirk because Kirk is a symbol of mainstream conservatism. Others are saying he was radicalized by the Mormon church who were upset over Kirk's hate speech at local events. There's been a lot of infighting among these white supremacists. They feel like some of the more mainstream white supremacists are doing too much. If every single case of a black person being killed by a road cop is met with justification by people like Charlie Kirk, the odds alone are ridiculous. That goes against logic in a complex society. Using statistics, no group is actually 100% right all the time, especially when dealing with high stake life and death scenarios. So to justify every single case, that's a ideological commitment. That's not factual analysis. That's white supremacy, ladies and gentlemen. These type these people always seem to extend humanity to white killers, never to black victims. If a black person is killed, their first instinct is to criminalize the victim. That's white supremacy. You cannot have a 100% defense rate that's inherently unrealistic. You are, if you never find fault in the murder of a black person, you're justifying a racial purge under the disguise of law and order. Black Americans had nothing to do with the murder of Charlie Kirk. Yet these white supremacists are threatening HBCUs. This is why we got our eyes on this thing. A majority of these school shootings or political assassinations are coming from the white community. This exposed the internal weakness of white supremacy. When a white perpetrator from the white community shows disunity and self destruction, that undermines the whole illusion of strength. This white on white violence exposed the lie that violence spill in front spill and form marginalized groups. The psycho The psychology of white supremacy is built on the belief in a racial superiority and control system. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share it with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Our second topic: Trump administration brings peace to the Congo. The Congo government, instead of dealing with their issues internally or letting the African Union get involved, they are asking the American government to help them solve their dispute, making the West have a deeper hold on the African continent to to be recolonized. The president of Congo preferred to make a deal with the Trump administration. They um, you decided to sign a deal with Western powers to re-enter your country. You rather have white people re-enter your country than allowing an African man who knows what he's doing to run things. It makes no sense to me, but it's their country. I feel bad for Congo. It's like a catch 22. They have to pay for their peace using their minerals as collateral. I feel like these countries outside of Africa are the ones who have been involved in destabilizing the Congo for many years. And they have been using other nations to get the resources. The Congo people are suffering. You know, they haven't had peace in 20 years. It's awful what's been happening to them. Even though I don't really like the deal, if it means that there is peace for the people and security, so be it. It's like, it's not like I can do anything since my Christian business still is not up and running. So if we can avoid all the harmful effects of this exploitation to the community, then it's okay. I feel that probably they had no other options. I'm tired. I'm just tired of people suffering on the ground. But then again, these other stabilizers are are they also going to be on board because they might have agreement with the Trump administration. They should have made a deal with President Paul Kagame, or do you think they did the right thing about going to President Trump? That's what I'm asking. So leave a comment about that, please, in the comment section, and make arrangements with me to talk about this. It doesn't. Um, um, just make arrangements with me to talk about it before the end of the month. If I can get five or more people that would like to come on this platform and talk about this topic. Uh, these border lines have been drawn by foreigners. They haven't necessarily broken people apart, but they haven't necessarily displaced people. The African government that haven't gotten haven't got a plan, and they haven't um, um, so in other words, so basically what I got out of, well, what I was reading from the I was reading from the article and also from the video, is that the African government, they don't have They don't really have a plan on how, I guess, how to run their country. So when we have the Congo, which is the richest territory in the whole planet in terms of mineral resources. I think all these African governments are just allowing the whole world to entertain themselves in Africa. Everybody is there, such as the Asians, Arabs, East Indians, Europeans. I believe Africa should look at what Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger did to reclaim their land. They should be the model across sub-Saharan Africa and become the biggest brother of the whole continent. Because one state with one currency and one military and one political African agenda, it's going to be difficult and it will take a lot of negotiation once that happens. Then we can expand across the continent. We will tell Western nations no trade from any foreigners going from henceforth to the Congo. We have to lock down the Congo as an African nation. For example, in the Congo, there are children digging um, for for gold, um, cop- coplet. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that word. For your television, airplanes, smartphones, all kinds of tech. We won't be able to do anything without the Congo. And Africa don't seem to realize the level of leverage that Africa has as a nation. I blame African leaders for allowing the West to continue to exploit our natural resources. For 33 years, I've been trying to get Black Americans in Chicago to work with me. Um, and help turn my ideas and plans into a reality. But a majority of them just look at me and laugh. It's a straight up turn off. It really is. But again, I'm doing the best that I can to get this thing up and running so that way I can bring the business over to the African continent, starting in South Africa. Because again, once it materializes, mark my words, everybody in Chicago is going to want to be a part of this. But again, I don't operate like the next black man. I have my own style and way of doing things. Those that have rejected me for the past 33 years will not be part of my business. It's just that simple. This is what slavery has done to my people. This is why I created this platform to reach like minded Black Americans beyond Chicago would take me up on my offer. The problem is that Black Americans have become Americanized and they have also taken on the colonizers' culture or identity. Black Americans have also developed a narcissist attitude, which means they care less about the African American community, let alone our Black youth and their families. On the African side, the African Union and many African leaders are in the pockets of the white supremacist financial elites. And so instead of going ahead and working out a deal with a fellow African to do business like Burkina Faso, who are pushing for their own sovereignty, they continue to turn their attention over to the United States of America to come back and swoop up all the resources. President Paul um, Kagame understood how to handle resources and how to run a society that's functioning. The Congo has never figured out how to have a functional society. Um, and instead of allowing somebody who knew how to do things, they decided to allow the West to come back. The only thing I see that will really help Africa is unity among Africans across the continent and in the Black world through the grassroots community activist movement. We will compete against Pan Africanism because in the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of South Africa, of South Africa, will align with African families and the African community. Unlike Pan Africanism, which only have good speeches but not producing jobs for Black Americans, nor launching international trade with, um, I would say, African, with the Caribbean and Latin America. But I need the global African family to get on board with turning my vision and plan into a reality. That's real. The Congo has been traumatized since the days of um, King Leopold. The purpose of the African Union was as follows: one, to achieve greater unity, cohesive, and solidarity among the African countries and African nations. Two, to defend the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence of its member states. Three, to accelerate the political and social economic integration of the continent. Four, to promote and defend African common positions on issues of interest to the continent and its peoples. Five, to encourage international cooperation taking due account of the Charter of the United Nations and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Six, to promote peace, security, and stability on the continent. Seven, to promote democratic principles and institution, popular participation, and good governance. Eight, to promote and protect human and people's rights in accordance with the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and other relevant human rights instruments. Nine, to establish the necessary condition which enables the continent to play its rightful role in the global economy and in international negotiations. 10, to promote sustainable development in at the economic, social, and cultural levels, as well as the integration of African economies. 11, to promote cooperations in all fields of human activities to raise the standard to raise the living standards of African people. 12, to coordinate the harmonious and policies between the existence and future regional economic communities for the gradual attainment of the objectives of the Union. 13, to advance the development of the continent by promoting research in all fields, in particular in science and technology. 14, to work with relevant international partners in the eradication of preventable diseases and the promotion of good health on the continent. I view the African Union as a copy of the European Union. The African Union has not proven to be a standalone institution. For example, notice how quickly the African Union got rid of Ambassador Dr. Akarna when she spoke out against France. This showed a red flag that this African institution has allowed itself to be used as a puppet for the West and Western interests. Places like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, they're showing that there needs to be a separation between African nations and the West in order to bring ourselves away from the Berlin Conference we were we were under. How can a country like Niger be one of the poorest countries in the world, and yet Niger has significant uranium reserves and has been a major global producer for decades? The country holds Africa's highest grade uranium ores and the world's seventh largest uranium reserves. Niger has had bad deal. For example, the Niger government has been buying its own material produced that are worth $200, but the Europeans are paying less than 80 cents for Niger's uranium. Of course, that's going to make your country poor. Global African family, this is why you need to step up and work with me in getting my revised book on the bestsellers list so that the Black world can take our cause serious because Black Americans show late. Once we get this film project fully funded and made, then I will be in a better position financially to hire qualified Black middle class professionals and qualified African immigrants in America to help me build the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago before I cut and run to Africa. Again, this is why I created this platform so that we have these kinds of discussions because once we had these kinds of global discussions and understanding of our blackness, our Africanness, and our togetherness as GRCAM members. At this point in time, the grassroots community activist movement is trying to create a think tank in hopes of connecting like minded Black people from the diaspora with like minded African immigrants in America, as well as Native Africans on the continent. Again, I do not operate like the next Black man. I have my own style and way of doing things. I don't want to be like with this business. It's not about us trying to be all what's how would I say it? Um, Trying to buddy up with those in power. I want to talk to those that's in the grassroots, those that's law-abiding citizens. We want to raise that bar because after all, these politicians they need your vote. You know what I'm saying? They have to come to us. And so that's where the power lies. But you have to believe that you have power. And I gotta make sure I have people that's not paranoid. You know, if you think everything is a scam and all that kind of stuff, I ain't fooling with you. That's just how it is. That's why I want people to read my story first. If you disagree, then delete me off your friends list and go on about your business. Don't come to no events with my name on it. Those of you that want to call yourself trying to be slick, want to hang around me till I blow up and make money and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to get in my pockets. Try me. That's all I say. Try me. I believe that Africa should partner with China and Russia because we've seen the pattern of Western nations over the past 500 years. Africans allowed Europeans to come to their nations, and what happened? We ended up getting colonized, and they took our resources and enslaved my ancestors to force them to build North America. The Chinese in Africa can get the infrastructure put in place that would be necessary for commerce and trade with the same thing with Russia. I'm not saying that deal, um, but what I'm saying is that's a key difference. Now, We now have access to the internet and social media. There is no reason why African people in the Congo and Black people in the Black ghettos of America should be overlooked. I created this platform to be a voice for my brothers and sisters on the African continent, and for my brothers and sisters here in America, um, as well as the global African family living in Canada, Europe, the Caribbean, Latin America, and on the African continent. Please join GACAM and let's begin solving Black issues and African issues. When I come to Africa, I'm focusing on solving African issues. That's just how it is. We have an opportunity to work together on a local front, national front, as well as an international front to make a difference in GACAM members' lives. These multinational corporate these multinational companies in the Congo have direct access to Africa's natural resources. Our smartphones, our TVs, riding airplanes, or using your laptop is a result of the Congo. So whatever happens in the Congo affects all of us. They need Congo resources to build things. And GERCAM wants to use this platform to help raise awareness about what's going on in the Congo. I also want to raise awareness what's going on in Cameroon because I hear it's wars over there still too. So I make those of you that lives in those countries, send me a friend request on Facebook. Make arrangements to get on this platform so that we can talk about it. That's the best I can do at this point in time because, like I say, I have little to no support. Trying to do something productive and being overlooked. Again, the dope man has more support from the Black community than me, and he's destroying the Black community. He's actually an enemy to the Black community. But they look at him as a hero, and they laugh at me and take me for a joke. And I've been pushing my vision and plan for the past 33 years. That's why I'm trying to reach out to African immigrants from 10 African nations to help speed up this thing. Once I get this film project fully funded and made, then I would be in a position to hire you. So work with me while I'm still small. That's all I'm saying. Work with me while I'm alive. Don't wait until I'm dead to embrace my vision and plan. So I understand what you all are going through in the Congo. You decided to reach out to the Trump administration because your own African people on the continent isn't helping you. And that's a doggone shame. It's the same thing with me. You know, I'm trying to help my people here in America, those that's in the Black ghettos that's overlooked, the youth that's being slaughtered every weekend, trying to bring my business over there. But it is what it is. God give us free will. But this is what I want to. This is what my film is going to be about. And again, I call upon those of you that I would say content creators, such as myself. Let me come on your platform to discuss my revised book and my film project. If you're on my friends list, those of you that's filmmakers or Black filmmakers and African filmmakers that's here in the United States of America, all I want you to do is read my story first and then make arrangements with me. And let's get this thing fully funded and made so you can be a part of the film project. But you're going to have to come to Chicago. That's where this film is going to be taking place. And this is where I'm going to do my Christian business as well. Again, I got all the paperwork done for my nonprofit, but I'm not in a position to hire anyone because I'm not making any money from my book. Doggone shame. I'm losing money actually because I'm paying every year for the business title since 2010. And before I come to Africa, we're going to get it popping here in America first for credibility. That's just how it is. Um, all right. So let's see. So again, the question is, how long will this peace last in the Congo? That depends on the Congolese. That depends on them. Do you want a perpetual war? Of course not. Do you want a perpetual poverty? Of course not. They need infrastructure, build roads, and take care of your people and build homes. The Congo people are the most oppressed people in Africa for good reasons because they have the most valuable real estate in all Africa. So they need two things that they should have stuck with a deal with President Paul Kagame or with the African Union, who should have intervened. Since neither one of those things happened, the Congo people are in trouble. Please leave a public comment about the comment in the comment section below this audio podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Thank you all for joining us on the stream. We greatly appreciate it. Please be sure to click the subscribe button and the like button. If you see a survey, then um, we ask that you like the live stream, say yes, it's educational. Give us a good rating because those ratings help recommend more content. That's the new YouTube. They are doing surveys now. Please give us a good rating. Again, thank you all for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Put me on blast by telling all your friends to listen to our content on my YouTube page. I'm going to send a challenge out to everyone that's listening to this audio podcast. I need all hands on deck so that we can move beyond cyberspace and get our story on the big screen to let the whole Black world know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people that's trapped in American ghettos. Starting in Chicago, quote, Hood Liberator, made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins. You can be a part of this historic docudrama by contributing to our campaign, either on our GoFundMe page, our PayPal Giving Fund page, or our Buy Me a Coffee page. If you are a U.S. citizen, you can use our PayPal Giving Fund page as a tax write off because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit, faith based, and community advocacy organization. You can also purchase items from our virtual store or purchase my revised book. The ebook is $9.99. The softcover book is $15 plus shipping and handling. We appreciate your support. You can find all of the links below this audio podcast in the comment section below. Thank you all for listening to our YouTube live or the replay. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing. I want to thank all of you for listening to our audio podcast on Spotify. If you are new to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast, welcome to our safe space where we discuss Black issues, and African issues. We do this every week. This will conclude our audio podcast for today. We will see you on the next episode. Peace and blessings. And again, thank you all for listening.